And welcome, Greenville, to another episode of the Green Tea Podcast. Ryan joined alongside Miss Ashley.
Yes, hi, welcome.
Episode, are we Quattro now?
Quattro.
Super excited for today. We've got a special episode this month where we're going to sit down with some local businesses here in Greenville. So switch up the format just a little bit, but we still got some normalcies for the returners. Don't worry, you'll be fine. So we'll kind of open it up with our events and what we've got to look forward to in this coming up month, and kind of a preview of what's getting ready to come here. So Ashley, take us away, shall we?
Yeah, so really like the only thing for July is 4th of July. So city offices are going to be closed on Friday, July 3rd. The sanitation routes that are normally picked up on Fridays are actually going to be picked up that Wednesday beforehand. I know this is not an event, but it is an important update. The bus routes will be running on July 4th, that Saturday, as normal. So all good there. But then just to look ahead a little bit, we've got Little League Softball World Series coming up in August. It's literally the first week of August. Sorry. There's a lot happening. So August 2nd through the 9th is when the games will be playing. But on August 1st is the opening ceremony. So if you go out, I know it's so fun.
It is fun.
To Stalling Stadium at Elm Street Park from 6 to 8 p.m. The opening ceremonies will be happening where you basically get to learn who all the different teams are that are coming from international all over the world. So 12 different international teams coming just here to little Greenville. So it's going to be a great time. It is a free event. It is open to the public. So feel free to join us for that.
Yeah, I love the opening ceremony for that purpose because, like, especially when the international teams come in and you have all these, some of these kids that have never been to the United States.
Yes.
And so you kind of get to see kind of almost like the shock and awe of they've flown in on a plane. And I think some of them we've literally have gotten there that morning of the opening ceremonies and they have only been like on the ground in the U.S. for like an hour.
Yeah.
And then it's like, boom, you're straight into it. So they're like jet lagged and groggy and everything else. So it's fun to kind of see. I mean, anybody that's around the U.S., those U.S. teams coming in, they're still experiencing, some of them North Carolina for the first time as well. But it's just something that I think is special and unique about those international teams coming in.
It's really cool to see the culture of all the different cultures that come together, and they're coming together for one like love of something that, you know, they all have. And you know, even if I've interacted with some teams that don't speak any English at all, and it's still one of those things where like there's a common ground there.
There
so
is.
It's really fun.
And sometimes it's food.
That's true too.
Common ground is always food.
Yeah. Yep.
And drinks. So that can always be a common
100%.
thing. That kind of segues into kind of a little bit of what we're going to get into today. So Ashley, thank you for our events updates.
Yeah.
Looking forward to everything going forward with that. We'll take a quick break here on the Green Tea Podcast. We'll be back with our first guest. We've got 2 sets of guests this time around. So hold on to your seatbelts. We'll be back here in just a minute.
Quick break to say thanks to our favorite sponsors. You. The Green Tea Podcast is made possible by the citizens of Greenville. Keep doing great things, Greenville. We'll be right back with more tea.
And welcome back to the Green Tea Podcast. We've got our special episode going on this month, and we're kicking it to the breweries this month.
Yes.
Super excited. So we're going to start off with Uptown Brewing, and we've got Drew in with us to kick us off. I love titles for some people, and when I was making sure I had everybody's titles correct, I love the fact that yours says General Manager, Head Brewer, and Dad in Chief. Love the last part in there. That's hysterical. So welcome, and thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you. Glad to be here.
So kind of give us a background for those who are unfamiliar with Uptown, like kind of how the vision of Uptown started, and kind of, you know, how the business came to be where it is today.
Yeah, so back in 2015, Greenville only had, right around 2015, 2016, Greenville only had one small brewery, Trollingwood Brewery over on Dickinson Avenue. And they were, they were cool. They were our first brewery in a long time since Hams, for a throwback for the Greenvillians who have been around for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, dang. Okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
I miss Hams every day. But no, around that time, Billy Dunn, our original owner, he saw an opportunity for a full production brewery, as in one that could produce, 10, 20 barrels, which is a lot of beer, 600 gallons of beer at a time. He saw an opportunity for one that could have a tap room, be full production, be sold out in the market, and came across a property on Evans Street and put his head together with his brother and a friend who did the brewing side, Benjamin Self, and they came together to make it happen, and they opened in January 2017. Been rocking ever since.
Awesome. I mean, I think it's one of those things where it's unique, and depending on where in downtown you are, you can find something unique that may have been there before, or may it's just becoming a new. I mean, you take Dickinson right now. There's so many new businesses popping up that, oh, you would have never thought there'd be a golf simulator, on Dickinson. You know what I mean? So there's different things where it's like that helps to add some uniqueness to, not necessarily tourism, but I think just the ability for, residents to have something to do downtown.
Yeah, absolutely. And the building that we're in had been vacant for a hot minute, but I think if I remember correctly, it was built back in the 20s, 30s, and it was originally part of the Brody department store that had been on the corner there.
Right.
And i.e. Brody School of Medicine. And back a long time ago, there was a department store there that sold a little bit of everything. And where our building was the loading dock. So actually, when you walk in, the wooden floor that you're on, about 11 feet below that is just a big concrete drop off where trucks used to back down into. So it's kind of a cool bit, and we tried to keep as much of the original building as we can. We still have a lot of the exposed brick around. The original floorboards that were in there, or some of the wooden columns that were in there before, they were just laying in a pile. And if I heard the story correctly, the contractor crew had said, "Hey, we'll haul that off for you, no charge." But the person who was helping us design the building noticed that it was like 600-year-old cypress tree, and said, "No, we're going to
you might want to keep that."
So we built our bathrooms out of it and put some around the columns in the middle of the building. So just kind of one of those cool repurposing things.
Yeah, like peak historic preservation.
Yeah.
Hey, we love some historic preservation in here.
I love that.
So obviously something that's been unique to your business and you guys in the downtown area has been the fact that I've now gone through and seen this process kind of from start to finish of you guys applying for a ordinance change that kind of happened in our area of now being able to not just only, make your own beer, but now be able to serve mixed beverages as well, and kind of going through that process, which, for I think, the common Joe wouldn't really understand the kind of the process that takes to get there, and why you guys would want to do that. So kind of walk us through what that process was like, once you guys kind of realized, oh, this is an opportunity for us to go and get this and add it to what we are already offering, our customers now. Kind of walk us through what that process was for you guys.
And before you jump in, I do not have as much experience as Ryan does being at these meetings, these planning meetings, these board of adjustment, whatever they are, and they're very important. I wish I understood more of it. But when you're discussing this, I guess I always ask people to just talk to me like I'm a child, and make it so that it's easy to understand. Yeah,
that's the text and the call that I make most often throughout this whole process.
Yeah,
just everything. It's like, just explain it to me like I'm 5.
Yeah, exactly.
But now the reason why was just really sign of the times and things changing around. 10 years ago, it was enough to just have beer on your menu. You didn't even really need wine, cider, or anything. You could just tell people we make this beer in-house, and that was enough. Just as people grow and taste evolve and everything like that, and I tell people all the time, part of it's my fault, my specific generation, age group, demographic, we're the ones that did this to ourselves, because we built up the breweries in 2014, 2015, and we were all drinking every kind of fruited sour and IPA you could drink, and that's all we were drinking. And now, at home, very rarely, just full disclosure, I don't drink much beer. I most of the time I'm sipping on a bourbon, or when my wife and I go out, we're looking at the cocktail menu, stuff like that. It's just my taste have changed, and it's not just me, it's everyone all over the country doing the same thing. And so we decided, we looked at what other breweries were doing. Most of them now, in other parts of the country have either full liquor or limited liquor on their menu. So that's why we wanted to do it, why we wanted to change it. Didn't realize all the hoops you had to jump through getting into it. And part of that is also just because, even with the breweries themselves, when we first started, the city had to come up with new ordinances and new rules and stuff, because they never had full production breweries. So they were trying to figure it out as they went too. And it all just coincided with times changing, ordinances needed to be updated, different philosophies, button heads at points. But in the end, everybody was super cooperative, and shout out to Brian Jones and Planning and Zoning, super cool guy. And he was tremendous in helping me just understand this, because he was that one, like I said, man, please lay out what I need to do, like I'm never going to do this again. Yeah. And he was awesome, walked us through it. It was getting our ABC permit to where we could serve more than just beer and wine. We had to get it updated for liquor and fortified wine. We had to go through the city to obtain the special use permit, but before they did that, city council had to vote on the changes to the ordinances, so that was all on their end, and then it was just catching up for us. But once we did all that, honestly, it all kind of fell into place. And honestly, just this past week, learning how to then take all of this and go to the ABC commission, and I literally had to walk in the local ABC board and say, I have a permit and I'm here to buy liquor. Like, what do I do? And that was just funny because you're thinking back to like when you first turned 21. Like, my license says I can buy liquor now. What do now?
That kind of awkwardness of like, hey, hi, this is going to sound real awkward. Can I just go ahead and buy something in here?
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, that's not sketchy at all. What is it? And it's like, no, I'm just new.
No, but they were super cool too. And we got it all figured out. And now it's just, fortunately we had another brewery to test all this on, Yard Dog out in Farmville. We got their liquor permit before we got Uptowns, and then Uptowns were still trying to rearrange back behind the bar. We have a meeting with a couple of vendors coming later today where we're just going to have to figure out where we put the ice machine, what kind of glassware we're going to get, where we put ice bins, just stuff like that. But it's all fallen into place. And now looking back, I'm like, that wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. But in that moment, it was just super hectic.
Yeah, terrifying. Yeah. But okay, yeah. So
I'm looking
sorry,
at you.
I kept thinking about earlier you said tastes have changed, and one thing I've heard recently is a lot of the younger generation. I'm what am I? Millennial.
I don't know.
But
it
I've heard a lot of
confuses me.
Gen Z are actually drinking less as well. And so have you guys brought in like non-alcoholic options?
Yeah, we have. It hasn't hit Greenville as hard yet.
Yeah.
I've heard in Raleigh and Charlotte and some other bigger areas, NAs are taking off.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we hear that, we're like, okay, cool, let's place an order for a lot of NA beer. And most of it just sits.
Really? Okay.
Most
Yeah.
of it just sits. We have more customers now drinking it than we used to, definitely. But it's taking its time getting over here. I would say a lot of it is like, depending on what you read, some things will say, no, Gen Z is more conscientious of their health. With us, honestly, just what we've seen is just everybody's wallets are tighter these days. And I mean,
Fair.
same here. I mean, that's a lot of it. It's just, not as many people have that much money to go out and say, I want to try some of this, some of that. I'm going to have, 3 mixed drinks tonight made with spices and herbs, locally sourced and everything. It's just harder to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's been definitely more NA. There's been more, there's been trying some, like THC seltzers and stuff like that came up. The whole seltzer fad kind of took off for a couple of years and then just kind of died out. But there are still more seltzer drinkers than there used to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what about, so you have a plan, I'm assuming, or you're getting a plan into place for your like cocktail menu. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And speaking of non-alcoholic, do you plan on doing like mocktails?
Yeah, definitely. We want to be able to at least have the capability to do
Yeah.
mocktails with whatever sodas, mixers, juices, whatever, to make, cool, fun stuff for people who just still don't want alcohol, or like, my wife who's pregnant right now who desperately wants a cocktail, but can't. But yeah, we're looking to do more of a limited liquor menu where we have like 4 or 5, maybe 6 house cocktails that just cover the basics, bourbon drink, rum drink, vodka drink, stuff like that. Because we're not trying to be, like one of the other establishments downtown where you can just get cool, fun, crazy shots and, make every drink under the sun. But we just want our house ones to be able to have that option for people who want it. We still want to drive people more towards the beer because that's what we are at the end of the day, a brewery. But still, at least just have the option for people.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, do you have a menu that you're like currently working on or like set up yet?
Not quite all the way yet. I know at Yard Dog we've got one set right now. I've been bouncing back and forth between our locations, so I couldn't tell you verbatim what it is, but it's along those lines. We have rum, tequila, vodka, and whiskey. Might add gin on the menu at some point. A lot of it, we're actually going to lean on our customers to kind of tell us what they want. I mean, we out there, we stocked up on a little bit of everything, but right away, just in the first 4 days of operation, we've noticed that one of those spirits is drastically outselling the other ones.
Oh, which one?
Tequila.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
it's that time of year, I guess.
It's summertime. We thought it would be whiskey, but we've had a lot more tequila drinkers than we thought off the get-go.
Okay.
Which was just interesting. Like, we went ahead and stocked up for everything, but we thought it would either be more across the board or it would be more vodka and whiskey. But like I said, we're going to lean on customers to kind of tell us what they want and, you know, kind of what trends and what direction they're heading into.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Well, exciting.
Yeah. I love that.
I love it too. All right, so this is kind of something unique we're doing for this episode, trying to, you know, get a little more interactive. I can speak English in words today with our listeners, and so something we're doing unique for this episode, and we'll kind of see how it rides going forward. Is we want to be a little interactive trivia with our listeners. So we've gotten to this point of the episode where we've got a little bit of a trivia question that Drew has been, you know, thinking about in his head here, with the added bonus of if you can get the question correct from this segment and our next segment with our next business that we'll bring in here, you'll get a free gift card to go and patronize these businesses, which is a huge deal. And so I'll segue it into Drew. What you got? What's your trivia question here for our listeners? What you got for us?
Okay, if you've been in Uptown, you probably know the answer, but you do kind of have to look around for it. So we have a massive, I guess, piece of decoration, you would say, over our bar. So alongside the bar, we've got a massive piece of decoration on the exposed brick. Just want to know if you can tell me what that is, because if you've ever seen it, you know exactly what it is, and it stands out to you, and it's a pretty big part of Greenville culture. I guess that's the hint I'll give. But yeah, what piece of decoration do we have hanging above the bar at Uptown Brewing Company?
And I'm not allowed to answer.
I say I'm not allowed to answer either. Yeah, I was just getting ready to add that little segue.
I know I have a picture of it in my
No
phone.
one in the studio is allowed to say what it is.
That's funny.
All right, well, cool. All right,
That's
so
a good
there's part one. So if you're listening, we do have a part two to this, so you got to get both of them correct to win. So we're excited about that. Drew, thank you so much for coming in and joining us.
Yes.
We've kind of wanted to do something like this for a little while, so it's kind of fun to have you guys come in and do that. And so really appreciate that you came in and gave us your time, and we'll let you get back to work.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Absolutely, yes.
All right, well, we'll take a quick break here on the Green Tea Podcast, and we'll be back with our second set of guests right here on the Green Tea Podcast. We'll be right back. Behind every great story in the Emerald City is a neighbor with a vision. That's why the Green Tea Podcast is proudly sponsored by the citizens of Greenville. Whether you're a pirate, a professional, or a lifelong local, this show is for you, by you. Greenville, we are growing together. And welcome back into the Green Tea Podcast. I guess we'll call it, it's not even section 3, it's just part 2 of our expanded fun episode we're doing here with our breweries here in Greenville. And we decided, I mean, if we're going to have one, we'll have the other, right? And we'll bring in Pitt Street Brewing. So guys, welcome in, and thank you so much for joining us. Yeah. We were joking off camera, but I feel like if not doubled, we've tripled the amount of beards in the studio at this point. So that it can only get better from here. So we'll let you guys kind of give us a kickoff and introduce yourselves into the podcast.
All right. I'm Darian. I am the Director of Operations and Production at Pitt Street Brewing Company.
My name is William. I'm the now head brewer of Pitt Street Brewing Company.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Super exciting. So again, thank you guys for coming in. We're super excited about this. And we'll get kicking into it.
Yeah, so we'll jump right in. Tell us a little bit about the history of Pitt Street, like where you started. I know you guys have been around for a few years now, so just kind of give us a general backstory.
Yeah, for sure. So we started back in fall of 2017. Like Drew had mentioned, there wasn't really a massive craft brew scene here before. Trollingwood was there. Uptown had just opened, earlier that year, and then we were right there. So it was a bunch of new kids on the block trying to figure out things all at the same time, trying to build and garner that community. We moved into 630 South Pitt Street. It was historically a Coke factory. So our big back room, we love it, our big backyard, huge garage doors that were originally the big loading bay. People used to bring their trucks in and out for their Coke shipments. But yeah, it was just a group of local investors that really wanted to tap a new vein in the city for something that just hadn't been touched in a while.
Wow, okay, that's awesome. Yeah. I honestly don't remember what to follow up with. I'm going to be honest.
You're killing
this
me.
This is great. I'm
You're
so
killing me,
sorry.
Smalls, which is a sports reference.
I do know that one.
Oh, that's a first. That's the first sports reference I've made around you that you've actually gotten. This makes me happy. It's a good part to the day.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we talked earlier with Drew kind of about the process of, getting the new special use permit to be able to serve, mixed beverages in Greenville. But something that's unique to you guys is that, for one, you actually have more than one location, with the Pitt Street title in there in Washington. And that location already had the ability to do that. So it's something unique that as... Ashley, I joked about it too. As I saw you guys come through, the Board of Adjustment and all those processes of going through and getting that special use permit and having the public hearing and all that stuff was in the back of my mind going, they've already done this once. And so they know that it works. So kind of walk us through the process of what it was like for you guys and whether or not you kind of had some of the similarities, that Drew with Uptown Brewing had, and kind of, what was the purpose and why did you guys want to go ahead and grab that as well? Since obviously you guys actually attained it first before Uptown came through, but kind of walk us through that process.
Yeah. So like you mentioned, we have that location out in Little Washington, right there on the Pamlico Sound. When we first opened that location back 4 years ago, we took our traditional craft beer approach out there. And like Drew had mentioned, around that time was when you started to kind of see that shift in the craft beer industry as far as people not wanting just craft beer. So when the opportunity presented itself through that legal avenue to start introducing mixed beverage permits, it really allowed us to kind of tap into that new community for us. We had a lot of people that would, want to come out, but maybe one or two people in their friend group were not the biggest beer drinkers. And adding that extra option on the menu really just allowed us the flexibility to meet the demands of our customers. So once the discussion got brought to the Greenville City Council, it was a no-brainer for us. We wanted to make sure we had all our ducks in a row so that as soon as that opportunity was here, we were able to jump on it. The Gen Z crowd has been changing a lot as far as what they consume for their downtime, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
And it's not just the non-alcoholic stuff, it's really drinks across the board. Non-alcoholic seltzers, THC seltzers, the mixed drinks, mocktails. It was really a no-brainer just adding another, item to our repertoire.
So when you were doing this in Little Washington, did they already have that avenue paved out, I guess, for you? Like, you didn't have to wait for new ordinances to be passed. It was already something that was in place and you just applied for the special use permit, or?
So that was the previous general manager that handled that process. I am not 100% sure whether or not that was there or not, but I do know the process was pretty lengthy.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But whether or not that was established before we opened, I can't say for sure, honestly.
Okay. I was just curious.
I feel like that's something too that kind of gets almost lost in, no matter whether we're talking Uptown or Pitt Street Brewing with you guys, is a lot of people just think, oh, they just decided to do this, flip a switch and go. And, and actually we've talked about this too, is like, oh, you kind of have to dumb it down to some people to kind of go, no, it's a really long process. And it is kind of what you think of when you're like, oh, it's government. It's like, it is, but it's because it's making sure that everything is, all the ducks are in a row and that, you're almost prepared for what's getting ready to happen. Do you guys feel like that experience in Little Washington kind of helped you guys almost be prepared for some of these hurdles that you've kind of had to go through here?
Absolutely. Yeah. We knew exactly, or not exactly, but we had a really good idea of what paperwork we needed to file, the channels that we needed to go through, connections that we had built through that process through Little Washington. So yeah, it absolutely made the process a little bit more streamlined, would be the best way to put it.
Yeah.
I think something that's fun and at least it's unique, at least to me, is, and I didn't want to pick on Drew and his segment with it, but I'll pick on you guys, is that it's funny that you guys have both gone through position changes now at Pitt Street. Yet when I had the opportunity to throw you guys in front of a camera, William, you were in it, but you were standing on like a 20-foot ladder up in the air doing, I think you were cleaning one of the tanks.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things where we were like, nah, it's fine. He's in the background. We're not. And you, I don't think you tried to duck the camera, but you were like, I'm just gonna go.
I had things to do.
You're like, I'm trying to do my job, and I'm not actually being asked to do anything. But it's just kind of funny because as I'm thinking through this process of like, we can bring a brewery in. What are we guys going to talk about? And obviously this kind of came to fruition with the whole mixed beverage thing. But it was just kind of funny because when you guys came walking up, I was like, the last time I had these guys in front of a camera, they were doing something totally different. And little do we know, you fast forward almost 5 years later, and here we are, we're doing something different. But thankfully, ladders aren't involved with this one. So you guys are a little bit more comfortable sitting around. Something I just kind of wanted to bring in, William, with you specifically, is just kind of that process that you guys go through in your head when you're thinking of, what beers are we going to bring to the table? Because obviously we add a new element in with, like Drew had mentioned in his segment of, these are the kind of drinks we're starting to think about to make and cocktails and things like that to have on our menu. But I wanted to kind of give you guys the opportunity to kind of, walk us through a little bit just briefly of like what it's like to have the conception of an idea in your head. And I know both of you were involved in that process, but kind of where do the ideas come from for some of these craft brews that you guys make?
Well, I mean, my biggest inspiration really is just, it's funny to say, but research and development, trying new things. And that's kind of how the evolution has gone from like way back in the 70s and just having light lagers to home brewers wanting to experiment with new hops and new yeasts. And it still applies for us and today. Mainly, I would say right now with like cocktails and stuff, like it's kind of slowed down of trying to find comparable beers to do with that. Something a little more approachable as people are drinking less beer, doing fruited, heavily adjunct beers, sours, more barrel aged stuff. But yeah, really just trying to find something more approachable for as people kind of veer away from beer entirely.
I've got to ask, and I'll let you go into your piece. If you had to give a general, which I know is hard because I remember asking you guys this question back when we did the 4-on-1 episode back a couple years ago. If you had to give a general gist of how long it takes from idea, conception of, I want to do this is the flavor that I want to make, to it's done and you can actually try it. How long of a process? And I know that it depends on what beer you're making and your alcohol volume and all that stuff that you guys are doing there. But if you had to do like a general gist of like one of the special ones, like for the summer, if you're like, all right, this is when we start to think about the process of this is the idea you have of it, and how long does it take to make it?
Like 7 weeks minimum.
Yeah.
If not, that's like bare minimum, probably closer to 10 with coming up with the idea, figuring out how we're going to execute it, and then actually going through the process and hoping it works out the first time.
Yeah.
You guys are kind of like mad scientists, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's so creative. Like, I love the different, like, I'm like, oh, I never thought that you could have something with, what did you guys just release? Was it something with lime?
Oh, the watermelon lime sour?
Yes. Okay, I had watermelon in my head, but I was like, I don't want to say that, and that sounds stupid. But that, I'm like, oh, you can do that? Like, that's so crazy. But it sounds delicious. I haven't had it yet. So you guys have obviously had, I love Little Washington, so I've been married there. I've been to the Little Washington location. I've had mixed drinks at the Little Washington location, and it's great. So as far as like, are you keeping kind of the same like menu setup from Little Washington to Pitt Street, or are you gonna try something different? I know there's like two different kind of like crowds, from Greenville to Washington now. So tell us about like I know you guys have already started serving, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So tell us about like your menu and what your thought process was with that.
So we don't have the same menu that we have in Little Washington. That one's a bit more established, so we had at this point have a much better understanding of what our crowd out there is looking for. Mm-hmm. So we do our seasonal menu changes out there. We just released our new liquor menu last week. Mm-hmm. Here in Greenville, we decided to kind of just take our base liquors, right? Our bourbon, tequila, our vodka, and our, we've got one more that's slipping my mind, but we really just wanted to keep it really simple at first. We've got 5 drinks on the menu, mm-hmm. And then one of those is our cold brew martini. It gave us the opportunity to introduce our own house-made cold brew also. So we really want to make sure that we can stay unique from the other location and meet the expectations of what we've developed here with our community.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really the
And you're
base of it.
gonna, with the menu in Greenville, potentially like switch it up seasonally like you do in Washington?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have a new one roll out near the fall time.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. I love that. That's great.
This is just exciting. I love kind of seeing how you guys, just from a business standpoint, evolve, and same thing with Drew at Uptown, like how you guys have, you understand that there's a switch and trying to be almost proactive instead of reactive with it, and a little bit of it is reactive too, because you try to figure out, is this gonna be what we need to do? Okay, and then you kind of have to
Yeah.
make that dive. So it's kind of fun to just kind of pick y'all's brains about like what this process has been like and whatnot. So, all right, we've hit that segment or that part of the episode where we did it in part 1 with Drew from Uptown Brewing. So we've got our trivia aspect with you guys. So what have you got for us, for our listeners here, for part 2 of our trivia?
All right. We have a mascot at Pitt Street. He hangs out on top of our Coke cooler. He's been there since our second head brewer, Cam Medina, was here. He left it as a parting gift for us. And as a little hint, his silhouette is painted on the front porch right as you walk into the brewery. So if anyone can tell us what that little mascot is, what animal he is, you'll be our winner.
You're, again, as previously mentioned, you're also not allowed to answer this. You are not eligible to win.
Sorry. It's fine. I'll be there at some point anyway.
All right, cool. Well, that's exciting. So we look forward to seeing who our potential winner could be. And again, appreciate you guys being a part of that as well. So guys, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on and kind of giving our listeners an insight to how you almost combine a business and the government, and local government at the same time. Because sometimes I feel like that gets almost disjointed and disconnected sometimes as far as like how those things are so intertwined. And so it's just kind of fun to watch you guys go through that process, at least here, and give some insight to what you guys have got in the future. So we're very thankful for you guys coming on.
Of course. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right, so that'll do it here for us on the Green Tea Podcast. Ashley, thank you, for being such an amazing
Thank
co-host.
you.
It's what you do. Super excited. Got some great stuff coming out here forward in our upcoming episodes here on the Green Tea Podcast. So super excited. Again, huge thanks to Uptown Brewing and Pitt Street Brewing for coming on this month. We look forward to getting our responses here for our trivia question. That'll be on a social media post when the episode posts. So if you are listening to this, you got to go to social media and find it. And if you're the first person to get both of our trivia questions correct, you'll win a gift card from both of our breweries here in Greenville. So super excited about that. Thank you for joining us here on the Green Tea Podcast. For both of our breweries, Pitt Street Brewing and Uptown Brewing, and Ashley, I'm Ryan. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you on the next episode of the Green Tea Podcast.
Bye.